Today's video is going to be very simple and straightforward, and that's how do you create your very first listing on Amazon FBA? Okay, I'm joking. Nothing on Amazon FBA is simple, and every single seller will be able to tell you this. There are loads of hoops and obstacles that will be put in your path on the way to having a successful Amazon FBA business. Therefore, in this tutorial on how to create your own very first listing will make your life just a little bit easier. What's up, you guys? It's Ben, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything there is related to selling on Amazon. Therefore, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, consider subscribing. Now, before we get into the tutorial, I really want to stress a really important thing. Always, and I mean always, create your listing before buying your inventory. Why on earth would I need to do that, you may be asking? And the answer is really simple. Safety. By creating a listing, you're allowing Amazon to check over your account to see if you are actually gated to sell in that particular category. Say, for example, you want to sell something in medicine. Well, soon after creating a listing, Amazon will ask you to provide an ingredients list before actually allowing you to sell. Same exact thing goes for food and drinks. And for toys, they may ask you to provide declaration of conformity before allowing you to sell. And for some products, they will straight up not allow you to sell because simply your account is too young, your metrics are not good enough, or they just don't want to take any new applications to sell. Shout out to all of the clever sellers that thought it would be a good idea to sell medical items during the peak of the pandemic. What's important here to remember is to take every single precaution possible to reduce the chance of you potentially losing money. The last thing you want to happen is you buy a product, it comes to your house, you create a listing, and you realize suddenly that you are unable to sell the 600 to 800 units that are now sitting in your bathroom. That is not a nice position to be in. And with that positive note, let's get on with the tutorial. Alright, so in order for you to create your own very first listing on Amazon FBA, you're going to have a few things set up prior. And that is, register your own private limited company on the gov.uk website, have your own business bank account, whether it's with Tide, Starling Bank, World First, whatever, and then actually set up a professional Amazon sellers account until you reach the point where you actually have a seller's dashboard that looks something like this. And then once you have that, now it may not look exactly the same because I may be running on an older version when you're watching this video, but all of the tools are roughly similar. So we can still create our own first listing. So the very first thing we need to do is actually go onto catalog and then add products. Okay, onto add products here, we're going to have to actually choose the fact that we are not adding a product sold on Amazon so far. Even if you're selling a product that is identical to somebody else's, there is no difference whatsoever. It's the same color, same size, same product, whatever. You're still going to create your own very first listing like it's not sold on Amazon, because this is what private labeling is all about. Other hand, if it's wholesale, retail arbitrage, or online arbitrage, you're going to try and find that product by typing in their product name and effectively selling on that particular listing. In our case, as private label sellers, we're going to create our own listing where we control everything, the images, the title, the keywords, everything. So no matter what product it is, if you're going to go the private label route, you always go for adding a product that is not sold on Amazon. Once we type that in, the next thing we need to do is choose a category. Now, you have two ways of doing so. Let's say we either go, let's say, for example, a makeup set brush or whatever, because I always use yoga mats as an example. Let's change it up a little bit. I can either do it two ways. I can either go through beauty and try and find the product itself, or I can potentially just type in here and I just go makeup brush set, right? And here it is. We'll either get, or actually let's do makeup brushes. Okay, and here it is. We have 4 different categories. Now, which one do we usually choose? Sometimes it matters and sometimes it don't. What I like to do is actually go onto Amazon, type in exactly that same search term and look for products that are selling that I want to be selling in as well. Okay, and as you can see, a lot of them are in makeup brush sets, Majority of those products that I'm going to be selling in is going to be in the makeup brush set niche. Now, if it's on its own effectively, then it may be in the face brushes. Okay, so, and this is really, really important, guys, for you to know, because if you choose the wrong category, no matter how good your listing is, no matter how good your images, your title, your key features, if it's in the wrong category, that means Amazon is not indexing your listing correctly, and therefore it will not be visible to the customers that are actually looking for that makeup brush set or any other product that you may be selling. So making sure that you are in the right category is really, really important. Matter of fact, this has happened to me very recently when I literally launched everything, done everything correctly, but because it was in the wrong category, I did not get any sales whatsoever for the very first 3 days. Once the category was changed, the very next day I got 7 sales in the very first day. So picking the right category is extremely important. So we're going to go, in this case, we're going to go for makeup, brushes, tools, brush sets, the very first one here. Okay. And now this is basically what we're going to do is all of these fields we have to effectively fill in. And matter of fact, some of them are mandatory, i.e. you won't be able to save and close without filling them in. But what I actually like to do is actually fill in as much as possible, because the more information you have, the more information you give. Doesn't just help Amazon to index your products correctly and list them up on the first page, but it also gives the customer that much more information to make their purchasing decision. Okay, so this is why all of these fields are really, really important. So let's start off with the very, very beginning. Are you going to sell this product in variations? Now, I always tell my students who are on my mentorship that the very first product should not be in variations. It should not be anything in clothing. It should not be anything that comes in different sizes, shapes, colors, or anything like that. It should be just one product, as simple product as possible, because matter of fact, the more complex the product is, doesn't necessarily lead to more profit. So the simpler, the less headache you're going to have later down the line. Now, of course, you can move into variations later down the line, and I will create a separate video on how to create a listing with variations, because it can get a little bit complicated. But for this video, we're just going to choose no variations. The next one is product ID. Now, this is really, really important. And what is product ID? Well, product ID effectively is the universal product code. This is what differentiates your product from all the other products sold, not just on Amazon, but in the UK in general. Now, if you've never sold on Amazon before, how do you get these codes and what exactly do you put in? Well, the website, the official website, the governing website is GS1 UK. This is where you effectively sign up to like a membership effectively, which you pay for each and every single year. And they will actually give you codes that you need to choose effectively to get the very first product sold on Amazon. So as you can see here, it actually says, get a product, join the 2 million companies using GS1 barcodes to sell on Amazon, eBay, Tesco's, Google, and other marketplaces. This is why it's so important to get these legitimate barcodes. Now, they may be a little bit more expensive, but because they are original and because their ownership is tied to you, you will not have any issues listing your very first product. Whereas if you buy off a second or third website effectively, which is purposely basically reselling these barcodes, you may come across some issues, because what Amazon may say, well, this keyword, this number that you're using actually belongs to somebody else. What the hell's going on? And they will just take your listing down. So, and as you can see here, it's being used not just online, but Waitrose, NHS, QVC, Sainsbury's use these barcodes as well. Okay. Now, also something to let you guys know as well, when it comes to these codes, barcodes effectively, is in the very beginning, start off with the starter 10, okay? You basically get 10 barcodes. Now, what's really, really important to know is that, first of all, that the price is much, much cheaper, £50 per year, excluding VAT, so £60 in total. But what's important for you guys to know is that one barcode means one product. Okay, now that product can have 1,000 units, it will still only take one barcode. So effectively, when you buy this starter 10, you are effectively able to sell 10 different products. As many units as you want, but 10 different products. Because a lot of people get confused, and this is what I want to clarify, the fact that just because you have 10 barcodes doesn't mean you can only sell 10 units. You can sell as many products as you want, it's just 10 different products. And which is why I always choose the first 10, because why pay for 100? I personally don't need 100 just yet. I'm currently selling 69 products. Therefore, there's no point for you going for these more expensive memberships and wasting your money. You want to keep as much money as possible for your product, advertising, and don't waste your money on needless things such as a starter 100 for businesses with a turnover up to 500,000 and so on and so forth. Okay, this is just not necessary. Okay, so once we have got the membership, we got the barcodes, we go back up to here. And this is where we will type in the barcode and we will select UPC. Okay, this is what it's called. It's called the unique product code, I think, universal product code, something like that, but we will select UPC. The next thing is the title. Okay, now the title is extremely important, guys, because back in the day in 2016, people thought, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put in as many keywords as possible into that title, because the more keywords I put in, the more pages my product is going to show up. Not so fast. Not anymore. In 2022, Amazon's algorithm can now actually look at your image and say, hey, that is a makeup brush, without you having anything in the title, okay? Which is why it's so important that in the item name, you say exactly what the product is, what color it is, how many units in that particular set, and that's it. Don't think just because you are able to put in 250 characters that you need to put in each and every single keyword in that title, because then it will just look very, very clustered, very clogged up, keyword spillage all over the place, and it just puts people off. I actually done research that shorter titles do better than longer titles because customers know exactly what they are getting, which is why putting in the correct title is really, really important. Next up, brand name. Now, this is really important as well, and something that I need to clarify, because usually this is where people make the most amount of mistakes when creating their very first listing. When you're just starting selling on Amazon and you're just creating your very first listing, chances are you don't have a brand, i.e. you don't actually registered a trademark on the government's website, your own name, your own legal name that you want to sell all of your products under. And that is okay, which is why in the very beginning here in brand name, what you're going to do is you're going to put in generic 1. Okay, so I'm going to put in generic 1. This is what's going to allow you to actually save and continue. Now, once you have started selling the products, okay, and you can see that this product is going to sell for the near future, for the next year, 18 months, 2 years, I always recommend my students to actually get a brand registered, basically get their own legal trademark, and then change that name to their own trademark. But what's important here, guys, is to actually have a think whether or not you want to sell products in a specific category, or do you want to sell everything that sells? So, for example, some people may want to sell just in beauty, or some people may want to sell just in camping equipment or something like that. But let's say, for example, one of my students back in the day put in the word aqua in his brand name. Well, that actually narrows down the amount of products that he can sell, because aqua is associated with water. You're not going to sell a yoga mat with the word aqua in the brand name. So you've got to be really, really careful with what you choose as a brand name. And I always tell people that the company name doesn't really matter, but the brand name does. So pay very, very close attention, because this is what customers are going to remember you by, your brand name. Okay, so here for now we're going to put in generic 1. Next up, we're going to put generic 1 here. Now, this is not exactly a very important field, but what people think is that I have to put in my Chinese manufacturer's address or their name onto the manufacturer field here. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because what's going to happen is other sellers will look at that field and say, hey, oh, okay, this is where you get your product. Let me call up that manufacturer and see if I can get it cheaper, and then I will sell exactly the same as you. So a matter of fact, funnily and ironically enough, you want to put in anything in this manufacturer field except for the actual name of where you're getting your products, because you're just giving away the secret sauce to a bunch of other sellers who are looking at your product and thinking, maybe I could sell that too. Okay, so keep that in mind, guys. Really, really important. Next up, unit count. So basically what this means is how many units do you have in that particular set? If it's liquid, how many milligrams is it? Is it units? How many units does it have? Is it in grams? How much does it weigh? And so on and so forth. So let's say we have a makeup brush set of 5. We're going to put in 5. And then we're going to put in that it's not grams, it's not in meters, millimeters, or square meters. It's actually a count. It's 5 units in that particular makeup brush set. And then the very last one is product expirable. Most likely, no. If you're going to say yes, then you have to actually give an expiration date, which is what is going to happen is basically if the product actually goes past the expiration date, your Amazon, those products will automatically go into the unfulfillable inventory and therefore will no longer be on sale on Amazon. So for all of the products out there that do have an expiration date, make sure you put it in correctly. Make sure you don't start selling products that are past their expiry date, because that's just literally a recipe for disaster. Next up, we go into variations. Again, we're not going to sell variations, so we're going to skip that. Next up, we're going to go on to offer. Okay, so vital information we already done. Offer is next up, and we're going to click on more attributes as well, because we want to actually get more information in. Next thing that we need to put into the offer stage. So first of all, this is the seller SKU. Basically, this is what connects your products and Amazon's inventory. Okay, this is how Amazon is going to know that this particular product, this particular listing is connected to this inventory that we have on Amazon. So when you're just starting out, this is going to be left completely blank. You don't have to put in anything there. However, if you ever happen to delete your listing, make sure to copy the SKU that Amazon has given you. Because if you ever want to relist that particular product and you happen to have inventory at Amazon, put in that SKU, they will connect the inventory that they have to your brand new listing. So the SKU right now, you don't have to put anything in, but this is something that is important to keep in mind for future. Next up, minimum order quantity. You don't have to put anything in. Next up, your price. Okay, this price for now, we're just going to put in $9.99. Again, this price can always be changed. And what I also like to do is just keep the sales price completely, not put in anything there, because that, to be honest, is just a shady tactic that doesn't really work anymore. Usually when you have the £9.99 and then you cross it, then you have £5.99 over it. That used to work back in the day. It does not work anymore. So usually I just leave it blank because it's just not necessary. List price with tax for display. Again, leave it completely blank. Next up, country, the region of origin. Usually for most of us, it will be China. So we'll put down China. Item condition, it has to be new. You cannot use a sell condition, basically sell used items. And then max order quantity. People think, well, why would I actually put in anything? You know, if I want to sell 500 and somebody wants to buy 500, let them buy 500. Not so fast. The problem is that sometimes you will get some really malicious sellers that will literally put in the total amount that they want to buy from you that happens to be exactly the amount that you have in inventory, and then they just won't pay for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. The problem with that is that automatically your products will go out of inventory, they will be unsellable anymore, and then Amazon will just literally just hold that inventory for that particular buyer that never ends up actually making the purchase. And what ends up happening is your product literally not being able for sale for the next couple of weeks and without you being able to do anything about it. So in my personal opinion, I always tend to do is 50 maximum order quantity. If somebody wants to buy more than 50, they can make a purchase, pay for it, and then buy it once again. Okay, so much easier to do as opposed to just leaving it blank because you really don't want to have any issues later down the line. Trust me. Next up is fulfillment channel. This is really important because this is what makes Amazon Amazon. This right here, okay? This is basically allowing Amazon to dispatch and provide customer service on your behalf. No other marketplace does that. Not eBay, not Instagram, not TikTok shops. No other marketplace does that, okay? This is why I prefer selling on Amazon than any other marketplace out there, is because once all the products are shipped to their warehouses, they will deal with the postage, they will deal with the collections, they will deal with the returns, the refunds, everything. This is why it allows me to grow my business from one product to 69 products for sale 4 years later. Okay, if I was busy picking and packing, collecting and sending all these products by myself each and every single day, I would not be able to scale as fast. But you can do that if you do have the necessary time, if you have the people, the manpower effectively, you can potentially ship these items yourself. Okay, so you can click there. But for most of us, it will actually be Amazon will dispatch and provide customer service. Back up top, compliance. Nothing here for now, to be honest, because most of this won't actually apply to us because our products do not have anything to do with batteries. Images. This is really important, and this, I can't stress this enough for most people. The majority of people that fail on Amazon comes down to one thing, and that is images. Okay, you need to remember that when it comes to buying online, people are not being able to actually look at the product. They can't look at it, they can't look around how it works, they can't take it out of the package or anything like that. They are basing solely on what they see on the screen. This is why you need to make sure that the very first image captures the customer's attention. Don't just put any box standard product without anything underneath it or anything at all, because then it will just blend in with the rest of the products on the marketplace. You need to do whatever you can to capture that customer's attention. So for example, in makeup brush niche, I would probably put a model behind the makeup brush just so see how nice she looks with the makeup brush set, just to captivate other people's attention and basically make my listing stand out. You may potentially even be able to put a few watermarks, which technically are not allowed by Amazon, but if you can get away with it, do so. Also, all of the other images are also really important as well. This is where you use everything you possibly can to sell your product, to make sure that the customer is aware of all of its advantages and why you should be buying from them as opposed to somebody else. These images, I can't understate enough, like these are so important, which is why a lot of the new sellers out there think it's going to be okay just by using Alibaba's own stock images to sell their product, and 9 times out of 10, that is the main reason why they fail. The second they start basically editing the images themselves or potentially getting a professional to do that for them, they see their sales tick up dramatically straight away. Okay, and it doesn't matter how good their title is, product features are, whatever, the images is what makes the difference. Okay, Going back up, we have description. This is the description and the key product features. Now, I personally don't really care for too much about the product description, because if you don't have a brand registry, all you can do is just put a whole bunch of text, which, let's be honest, 99% of customers will never read. They will focus far more on the title and the actual images. But what people will also have a look at is the key product features. Those are the 5 key product features that you see next to the listing, okay? And usually this is where you really want to put in as many different keywords as possible for customers not only to understand what your product is about, why they should be buying from you, but also to giving Amazon that little extra push that, hey, these are the keywords that I'm using to describe my product. Please make sure you don't forget them to put those ones onto the listing, okay, when you're indexing my makeup brush sets for various keywords out there that people may use to find my item, okay? So keyword product research is really, really important, because you really want to make sure, and I'll actually do a separate video on this, but making sure you understand and figure out which keywords people use to find your product is still a very, very important. Even though Amazon's algorithm is so good back now in 2022, you still want to do the proper keyword product research and then put all of those keywords in the key product features and the search terms here. Okay, and this is the last bit we're going to cover today, but basically these are the search terms. This is where you effectively spell out for Amazon what search terms do you want your product to be indexed for. We did that with the category, we did that with the title, we did that with the key product features, and now we're literally telling them that nobody else will be able to see the search terms that we want Amazon to actually think of us for. Now, this is another big sort of tip that a lot of people tend to forget, especially brand new sellers, is let's say you're selling a makeup brush set, right? Well, the truth is a lot of customers out there don't really know what they want to buy. Let's say they're looking for a Christmas gift for their 10-year-old teenage daughter. Well, then putting in Christmas in the search terms may be a good idea. Gifts may be a very good idea. Maybe put in 10-year-old in the search terms would also be a good idea, because when people are not really sure what they are searching for, you want to have those keywords, those open-ended keywords, which shows a whole bunch of different products for your products to show up. Matter of fact, sometimes one of my best-selling products actually show up on a very, very broad keyword out there that most people just don't think of actually targeting. So making sure that you target as many different keywords as possible that potentially relates to your product is really, really important. And that's pretty much it for today's video, guys. I really hope you found it useful. If you did, then please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.